I'm going to hand over to Endo-san to chair the meeting. I'm just going to turn off the antitrust policy notice. It's been up for a few minutes. If there's anything I can do in the background, just let me know.
Okay, hello. Yes, let's start the meeting. I'm a leader of the OpenChain Automotive Work Group. Today, we'd like to share some information from the Japan and Europe side because last month, I and Thomas discussed about the SPDX 3.0. Each party discussing the new proposal from the supply chain management. So at first, we want to share each party's idea. And after that, we discuss how to proceed each project. So Thomas-san, at first, from the Japanese side, we'd like to introduce our new proposal for the SPDX 3.0. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay with me.
Yeah, just a moment, please. Okay, I will share the presentation. Okay, I'm also the member of the OpenChain Japan Work Group and License Info Exchange Sub-Work Group. This sub-work group made SPDX Lite for become easily to exchange open source information for legal people or IP people. And next step, we started the discussion about the supply chain management, mainly about the embedded products, for example, automotive products, and another machine or electric appliance also. So at first, we discuss which information is critical and which information we want to exchange supplier with the suppliers or OEMs. So we started discuss for SPDX 3.0. Yes. So the purpose of the profile is to meet the needs and of the end product manufacturers and suppliers. And this profile is used closed information sharing only the supply chain. So this type of information is a very secret information or some security information includes. So we focused on the data exchange with OEM to supplier or supplier to between supplier to suppliers, between supplier and supplier. And the advantage for user is it becomes to using this profile, it can be handled in machine readable SPDX format because we also already using the SPDX, right? But we using the original format based on the SPDX, right? So if the all information including the this new profile, we can exchange the information by automatically. So we'd like to propose this profile. And this is one case study of the embedded software for automobile. So but this is a very simple supply chain. OEM making the vehicle for user, and the OEM make a specification for tier one suppliers. and tier one suppliers provided ECU. At the same time, tier one suppliers also making the specification to tier two suppliers, and tier two supplier provides software. And each case, each suppliers have to provide the open source compliance information, and someone disclose the making content of the copyright information or source code information. But sometimes some constellation is happened. For example, tier one suppliers only provided ECU hardware, so they may not be able to obtain source code. But this is commercial reasons. And sometimes OEM and tier one specifies non-compatible software, which means compatible of the not compatible of the license. Compatible means some not compatible for the final product by the security reason. So some company say, please not to use this license for security license. Or some tier one companies say to the tier two companies, please not to use this package because we concern about some vulnerability issues. So some constellations exist for the making the software. And but sometimes tier one supplier or tier two supplier or tier three supplier using the temporary use of the open source software, even if it is some vulnerability or some not compatible license or compatible packages. But it is no problem because this is only temporary use. So test prototype or test typing. So using this software in the prototype is not a problem. But OEM or tier one companies have to check this type of software is not contained in the final product. So some difficult situation exists to report the open source information under this constellation. So some tasks also exist. For example, OEM or tier one companies have to periodically checks during the development period whether software includes non-compatible software in the specifications. And if software is not compatible software is included inside the software, the tier one company or tier two company have to do the replacement. And also schedule also have to manage the schedule of the replace. And after that, this type of the issue is finished. Each company have to report it, the information of the license or source code and so on. So each company now using the some SBOM, such as SPDX or SPDX Lite. But this type of information are compatible for the final product or not compatible for the final product, or this is only the tester using, or this is a prototype using. This type of information is not include the SPDX right now. So if we can manage this information, this type of information inside the SPDX, we can communicate each company very smoothly. So we'd like to discuss about new profile. So this is only the proposal, what information is needed. For example, the information of the report, I think the report is not one time because especially automotive world, the development time period is very long. So we'd like to check the sometimes inside the one product development. So reporting day or product name or product information and a schedule of the next report is very useful for us. And information of the compatibility for final product is also very useful because we can check each package is compatible for the final product or not. So this type of information is also, and the information kind of the temporary using is also very useful because I already explained some temporary use is very popular in this period. So we'd like to manage this information in SPDX is very useful. So we discuss, this is the first proposal in April. So this is only the concept for us. So we discussing about in detail of the profile about 2 months. So Ito-san making the in detail of this proposal as a pull request of the SPDX 3.0. Please, Ito-san, share the latest situation of the pull request of the GitHub.
Thank you for introduce the current status, current proposal, Endo-san. And I'm Yoshi Ito. I'm making the pull request to SPDX 3.0. We communicate with the Japan work group members and SPDX communities. And right now, I wrote down the current proposal of the Endo-san's idea that that mentioned the from supplier side. This software package is compatible with final product license, or this software package is not compatible with final final product license. So please use this software package just within test purpose or evaluation purpose. So we made some entities as a usage profile. Profile is the idea, describe some detail of the software package on the SPDX 3.0. New idea on the SPDX 3.0. And the usage profile is made as a fourth section of the profile. And I made entity prerequisite product information, which mentioned in the product information in the Endo-san idea. And yeah. And the product name, product identifiers, and also I brought down the license compatibility. This software package is compatible with final product or not, or which timing have to be execute software package inventory to eliminate this software package not concluded on the final product. So, for example, GPL version 3 software package is not concluded on the final product, which mounted in real car product or something like that. And as I put the comment field of this Zoom meeting that I've made the pull request to SPDX community as a SPDX 3.0 proposal usage profile. However, right now, several serial pointed out, a serial person pointed out from SPDX community, especially SPDX legal community. So we have to solve this point, and perhaps it's able to share the current status of our usage profile pull request. You tried these issue have to be solved. Also appears in the another proposal of the profile. For example, functional safety correspondent or security correspondent. And the most important point that the made SPDX community that the wait, please. SPDX is cover package information, facts that are common properties of the entire package, and not covered information cannot be delivered from inspection of the package to be analyzed, and any yeah, this one is most important. Legal interpretation of the license or sorry. どれだwhat does cover, not covered, yeah, this one, sorry. Legal interpretation of the license or any compliance action that have been or may need to be taken. So we have to solve to get accepted our pull request by the SPDX community, especially legal team of the SPDX community, that this is the fact, not a legal interpretation. And also perhaps functional safety or security information also have to be solved, that this information can be delivered from an inspection of the package to be analyzed. So right now, we, Endo-san and me, and license information exchange sub-working group members, that the additional proposal, additional information to be added on our pull request, that to solve these items to be pointed out, that this is the information that's able to get inspection of the package to be analyzed with the just another well common, able to easy access information. However, right now we are still still considering how we describe our purpose, that this software package is compatible, whether compatible or not with the final product. Final product is purely defined with the each specific development business. So it's not a common information. So we have to make some strategy. We have to make some strategy to see as those proposal able to utilize the common information or something like that. That's a current situation of the our proposal and the discussion status of the SPDX 3.0.
Thank you, Ito-san.
Thank you.
Additional comments from the Japan work group? No? Okay. Okay, so this is our proposal. So this is on the way of the discussion. So not fixed yet, but we want to share our idea or our concept of the profile. So there is some question or opinion of our proposal.
Thank you, Endo-san. Thank you, Ito-san. I think I understand. I read the proposal. I also saw the pull request, and I actually know how. I probably the best way forward is if I write a kind of like a counter proposal of how you can implement it.
Yeah.
So you don't. So we have a similar problem. So for the people that don't know me, my name is Thomas Steenberger. I work for Here Technologies, which is a location mapping company, but I'm also a core maintainer of Open Source Review Toolkit and also from the SPDX standard. So I work in the SPDX standards 3.0. I work on the base profile and the security profile, the dependency tree profile, and the license scanning profile. So I actually have quite a bit of the profiles under me, and I can also help with this one since I'm familiar with this one.
Yeah.
When I was looking at it, and I haven't had time to write write everything down, but my first thought was that we need to have a product entity where we can just simply describe the product that we're talking about. So you have kind of like software. That is what's in SPDX, where you have packages, but we don't have the notion of a product yet. And what we then can do is we have a product, and the product can basically have maybe a reference to a contract, since anyways between supply chain there's all contracts between various parties, and those contracts have terms. And of course you don't want to include the contract inside of SPDX, but you want to be able to refer to the contract via an external reference license ref. So the next thing what we want to do is you have certain things like temporary use or that you use. Those are kind of seen as kind of like defects. So it's like we have maybe the defects can have various classes. So it may be a license defect, so that you put an incompatible license in there. It may be a security defect. Maybe you have a known security vulnerability, and just during development, while you're testing, this is perfectly fine, but in the final product, you're going to switch it out. It might also be a quality defect. Maybe that the product is not performing inside the vehicle inside the set specifications. For instance, you press a button in the IVI system and the application is not responding within, say, 300 milliseconds. Right, so these might also be defects. So this is mostly where we also look at quality defects.
Functional safety is also defect. I see.
Yeah, so since in SPDX we have a hard rule of saying, as you can see here in 154 about the legal interpretation, you cannot do this in the same way. But what you can do is we can basically list this as a defect against the package, and then classify that defect. So we don't make an interpretation about it, but you basically say that we can have values for this to classify the type of defect. So it's a license defect, a vulnerability defect, a quality defect. So we don't make an interpretation of the legal things. You just say, hey, I have a defect. The defect is of this type. And then in a comment, you might write in the what maybe clause of the contract, or it violates between the two parties. right? So there's no, the document itself has no legal interpretation, has no things. It basically says, I have a defect, the defect is of this type. And then between the exchange of the parties as a comment, you can say like, we know that this is in violation of this section of the contract. So, but then the next thing, what we need to have, which we don't have yet, is a concept of time. Right, because you want to indicate. I read the spec. There's several things of time that you want to indicate in your proposal. One is basically if you have a defect, when you're going to fix it. So what is the next product version? So that's a thing that we need to figure out. And also what you also want to communicate in time is when your next update report is going to. So when can the user expect a new SPDX document that gives an update? So those are like time things. So when I look at this, for me, the product, I'm trying to abstract this in a way that we can also transform it to other industries. So I know the people in medical and in telecom have had similar questions. So I'm trying to see if we can somehow make this a little bit more abstract, so we can then port it over, so that they can also use it for their needs. Any feedback or questions or?
So. As you mentioned that when we write down some information, write down the defect, is it able to describe the condition, prerequisite condition? For example, 300 millisecond response time. Is the quite specific situation that it depends on the final product. Perhaps in ordinary conventional IVA system, 300 millisecond response time is not treated as a defect, but some functional safety related portion, 300 millisecond response time is the seriously have to be treated as the defect. So some such prerequisite condition have to be wrote down. This is the defect. Any portion in the current proposal or current existing SPDX format which mentioned in such condition for each or for specific tags, items of the current SPDX.
Yeah. So what we then probably need is kind of like a new entity, like condition or requirement. So we basically, for this profile to have, we basically need to add multiple things. So we need a product. For me, the product should be something relatively light. It just defines the product with a name and maybe a version. And that's basically what we need. Then we have and then an external license ref, maybe to where you can find the actual contractual document. Then we have the time element, which we need some more work, and then we need to figure out a condition, and the condition probably has to well, it needs to specify probably the type of condition. So we probably need some enum values for the type. So maybe one type, maybe safety, which lists safety requirements. And then it needs to have probably it needs to have some kind of time thing on there for expiry, or when it has to be met. So there needs to be two things on that, like one doesn't need to be one is the date when it needs to be met, and one is the date that basically it maybe requirements that expire, right? Interesting. So how would we say is a when we look at a condition, do we always say that the condition has to be met by a certain date?
So, however, right now, these date or constraint pointed out from the legal community of the SPDX community that this is the interpretation, but we have to solve those point to be get accepted in the community. Yeah. So perhaps we have to the proper naming of those information.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I'm looking here at is if I look at expiration of usage information, could I translate this as basically being the expiry date of the SPDX file of SPDX document? Would that be correct?
Yeah, right. Sure.
Because then I can just basically, what we then do is we have again we need to add a field. As I said, we need to have a time element to it, and then we can say I give you this SPDX document, but it's only valid till September 1st. And that basically means that I will provide you a new version of the document before September 1st. So I would not put this in the I need to add this to the document basically at the document level. And then basically on September 1st, I'm going to give you a new document that refers basically back to the old document and basically says this new document updates or replaces that other document that I gave you. And I think this is the expiry date is especially useful if I think about the other profile that I work on. So I work on the security vulnerability profile. And as you might know, with security vulnerabilities, you need to continuously check them. So because there may, again, if I now give you a report today and tomorrow a new security vulnerability is found, there may be some expiry date on that one as well. So you need to get fresh information. So I might want to put expiry date higher up into the other into the chain, so that's not just in this profile, but it becomes available in more profiles.
Sure.
Hang on, let me make some notes. So I need to move date to the other stuff. So I have quite a new bit of products that I have to do. Okay, so we have a product, we have something for time, we have a condition, and then we have expiry date. Expiration, and then that can be of a document, a vulnerability. When we talk about expiration, could we also talk about expiration of the product? So like if you want to indicate like end of life of the product, do we want to do something like that as well?
Perhaps we also have to write down the some information about the this package just able to use as a verification purpose or some coding purpose or such sense compatibility information we thought, but that's the license interpretation.
Yeah, so this is kind of that this one I know we can't do. We'll never get it through I have to write a proposal for this one. But I'm looking at the product life cycle, because in the beginning, as Endo-san said in the PDF, there may be things that you use in kind of like the POC, the proof of concept.
Yeah.
There may be things that you just use as a temporary thing, like
Yeah.
as a temporary patch, just so that you can
Prototyping.
evaluate. Yeah. So
Yeah.
we have to capture this. This is for me is kind of like a delivery life cycle or product life cycle thing, where you have something that you maybe where we have multiple stages. So maybe we first have like a prototype, right? Where we just want to know if something works, right? So we work together and we just do for prototype purposes. Then next we become a little bit more serious, and we're like, oh yeah, this prototype works, and now we're gonna do a real evaluation in a vehicle, right? So the first was just coding, trying to get it to work. It works. Oh yeah, we managed to code the code to work. Then we go to actual evaluation where we get real testing and other stuff. Again, it's still not yet market ready. It's just evaluation, testing, seeing if it meets real world conditions. And then basically we can have, I don't know, kind of the first production batch, like SOP1, where we still know that it's not 100%, there may be still defects in there, right? But we know that we may be able to fix this via, say, an over-the-air update. And then we have, after that, we maybe have real production where really, if we need to fix something in production, we might have to recall the car, for instance. So I'm looking at, and then basically you can continue online where the final state is maybe end of life of the car, right? So basically where we communicate this product is end of life. So you want to communicate via SPDX. So say a supplier is taking out a component and basically wants to communicate to its tier one, this product, this software product, I'm going to end of life it. So this is kind of the last update that I'm going to give you.
So you mean you also care about the online update, OTA, and so on. So
yes,
you can your proposal means we can care the all product life cycle using this profile or this product life cycle concept.
Yes. So my proposal would be to have a product profile with a product life cycle.
I see. So we are not at first thinking about the update, but I understand well. Of course, in automotive world also the OTA or online update becomes a major. So we also thinking about that. So thank you for good suggestion.
Yeah. So if we then make it a product, right, with a product lifecycle, I think there are several standards that define stages of product lifecycle, and then we can reuse that for our profile, and that will allow it to easily be reused across other industries, because every industry has product life cycles. And I know there are standards for that, and then we can just use that, and then you can basically the supplier can then communicate, this is my state, this product is currently in this state of the product life cycle, maybe a prototype. And then what we then can do is we can write in the spec, we can write if things in prototype, it may mean that the composition of the software may be volatile. So maybe the mix of open source use may change, right? Because it's prototype, everything can change. Whilst if it's like SOP1, then if you as a receiver get that SPDX file and it says my product lifecycle is SOP1, then you as a consumer, you may then say like, oh, that means that it should be that this product is reasonably stable and that the open source is not going to change so much. So if there then is a problem if there's a license defect, then that's a serious issue. But if there is a license defect in the prototype phase, that is something, yeah, they're anyways going to change it. You don't know yet. So that's maybe less of an issue than that you have a license defect in a SOP1 life cycle. So this is how I'm kind of working around the conditions by basically doing the interpretation in the life cycle. And that's what you then can use to indicate whether something is a small or big problem. So then in this way, we don't make an interpretation of licenses or an interpretation of things, which is all interpretation, which is banned, basically. We just basically, you can make assumptions. And also those things you then can, if you want, can capture in the contract with suppliers. So we can have basically conventions on this, that how we in our automotive business interpret a particular product lifecycle state in combination with a defect. Right? So then we can still exchange product lifecycle status, we can exchange defects, but the interpretation of that, how we in automotive industry interpret that, that's something that we can basically do basically in our automotive groups, basically. Where we can say like, oh, if you get an SPDX document that says this and that says prototype and a slice defect, then this is kind of what we do as the precondition. So then the interpretation doesn't have to be an SPDX. SPDX is only fact, because the life cycle of a product, that's a fact. That there is maybe there may be a defect, that's a fact. The interpretation can then be done in various subgroups. So it may be that the automotive industry have a different interpretation than, say, the medical industry, right? Because there may be different local laws that they have to comply with, right? For us, it's more about safety and all the other stuff. So that's what we care about, and we do the interpretation of that law. And for medical, or for telecom, there might be different requirements. So then we basically separate the interpretation from facts.
I see. Okay, thank you so much. Good suggestion and good advice for combination of the defect and product life cycle concept. So we also discussing inside our Japan work group, and after that we'd like to discuss about it after the define this profile with you. Okay, Tomo-san.
So Endo-san, if you are you okay that I basically I'm just going to make a kind of like a real example where we're trying to make I'm not going to write a spec, but I'm going to write an example. So we can kind of talk about like hypothetical case of real car delivery with software.
I see. Because, so yeah, very difficult to discuss without example or case. Yeah. Oh, I understand. Yeah.
Because and once we then have the example, then we can then write the specification, and then we kind of instantly refer to the example, and that everybody is on the same line, and everybody can then look at their own situation and translate it to example, and then see if it fits or not. Because usually reading example, reading specification, it's really more complicated to translate it to real world.
Okay, thank you. Ito-san, something as an opinion? No? Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, already 50 minutes passed from our proposal. How about, I think Thomas-san has also some idea of the automotive profile or other idea for our industry. So can you introduce your idea?
Yeah, so
Yep.
my idea, which I have been discussing inside of
Mhm.
Germany with German car
Mhm.
manufacturers,
Mhm.
is that we have the problem that we have small suppliers not being compliant, basically.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
our idea is, but this is why we're working on, is that they're gonna use OSS Review Toolkit and SPDX together to give to suppliers for free, because all things is open source. So what we are going to do is it's kind of a new mixture. So I call this open standards, open reference processes, and open tooling. Meaning open standards is OpenChain and SPDX. This is how we define basically your process and your exchange format.
Yep.
Then reference processes, it's something that we've been working on in Germany for a while, is basically provide kind of building blocks for all participants that they can use to build their own processes. So that links basically it kind of lays out what kind of everybody in the industry thinks how you could do certain things. And then the last thing is open tooling, where we make sure that everything works together. So open tooling, where we have Fassology, Software 360, Open Source Toolkit, Turn, and all of them basically work together. Now, we still are missing things even in all of those three blocks. So if I look at SPDX, one of the automotive profile things that I was looking at, where I want to go to is that in contract negotiations, you can just basically state, I am OpenChain compliant, and I'm capable of providing you SPDX with these profiles. So I'm trying to simplify the contract negotiations to basically say I'm OpenChain compliant, and then you say the version of OpenChain compliant, and then I'm SPDX compliant, the version and the profiles that you support. And what I was looking at is we have other documents now that we currently exchange with a lot of our customers regarding quality. So if I look what I get from a lot of the our automotive customers, it's a different set of documents. So we have documents regarding security. So that's what we're going to address with like the vulnerabilities profile, but there's more things in security. Then we have documents regarding licensing, like which licenses are accepted and not accepted. That's what I want to do with the proposal here, where we have the conditions, right? So we can maybe be able to work on conditions. Then we also have quality requirements, and I think we currently have nothing to exchange that. So what I'm kind of hoping for is that we cannot capture everything in these contracts, but I'm hoping that we can capture in automotive standards our common use cases, and that may refer to bits in other profiles. So that basically we say in automotive profile, if you want to do automotive supply, you have to have the security profile, the vulnerability profile, the licensing profile, maybe the quality profile, and then on top of that, I'm trying to figure out what is still left in the automotive profile, and that may be specifically things that basically relate to the vehicle, but. So far, whenever I wrote this down, I've been able to translate things to other profiles. As I said, I'm making a product profile. I'm looking at a conditions profile, like that you have a conditions element that you can set. So what is still left is maybe specific things to how we work in the automotive industry. But then I was talking about this like in how we exchange things and the supply chain. So one of the things where I was looking at was if you have and Anderson, can you show the PDF, the supply chain picture, please?
So I already showed supply chains picture.
Yeah, but I want to talk about that one. That one,
Okay, just a bit. Profile of supply chain management. This?
Yes, that one, that picture.
Okay. Yeah.
So one of the things that we're missing in SPDX, imagine that we have SPDX documents being exchanged between all of those. And between tier 2, tier 1, and OEM, there may be certain information that is being exchanged, and they are only meant for particular consumers. So from tier 2, they might want to tell tier 1 certain information, but that information is not to be relayed on to OEM, right? Because there's different maybe trade secrets or business information. So what we currently don't have in supply chain in SPDX is a mechanism to tell that where tier 2 says, hey, you have the information. This information is only for tier 1 or is for all consumers in supply chain.
Yeah.
Or this is maybe information that is only for end user. So I haven't figured out a nice solution of that, but kind of if you have information in SPDX file to say, who is the target audience? Like, to whom can this information go? And I think this will also apply to our, what we just discussed, the conditions, for instance. These may be sensitive information.
I see.
So this may be something that I don't want to call it an automotive profile, but this may be like a secrets profile or something like that, or audience profile.
I see. Yeah. I see.
So what we're working on in SPX 3.0 is a concept of identities. So each, so the tier 2, tier 1, and OEM and user will all get an identity. But what we haven't yet, and that's why I'm thinking about this now, is how you can have like an audience profile where you can say, this information is only supposed to go to this particular way. So what you then can do is that if the my ideal situation is long term, is that all of the information between tier 2, tier 1, and OEM is all automatically exchanged. So it's all just machines exchanging information, but then the machine needs to know, can I hand over this information, say from tier 1 to OEM, yes or no? Or the OEM wants to know, like, can I hand this information over, for instance, to the vehicle? Imagine that this is fully automated, and the license information that display in the vehicle is just an SPDX file that is basically sent over the air to the vehicle in as part of the update. Then the OEM needs to automatically know from all the information it got from tier 2 and tier 1, what should I show the user and what shouldn't I show the user. So there needs to be filtering of the SPDX document so that the OEM only shows what is relevant to the user and not what is basically maybe proprietary information.
I see. So I understand the concept of the automotive or secret audience profile. So you already discussed this concept with other automakers or suppliers in Germany.
Yeah, so I have had some general concept conversations because the way how I work is we don't want to put the information already in them. So I don't prevent people a solution. I have been talking about people about what are their challenges, so that they freely speak and tell me their challenges, and then I'm collecting all of that, and then I'm looking how I can make new profile to fix those challenges. But I haven't told them yet the idea. So some of these things come into parallel tracks where we actually have discussed this. But yeah, I mostly listen. I'm trying to listen what people tell us, what is the problems, and then I'm trying to break them down into solutions basically, and then basically that's what I also want to do for you guys. I want to, here you have an example, here you have how it could look like. What am I missing? And that's how we do a back and forth until we can finally get like, yeah, this is a profile that works for us. And I'm basically then also talking to people in telecom industry, medical industry, even government, to see like, would this profile work for you? But my automotive profile, I'm just kind of looking at this, that this may be a kind of like a meta profile, where we basically describe the we expect an automotive profile. It consists out of base profile, licensing profile, vulnerabilities profile, audience profile, product profiles, and things. So you kind of like define which profiles have to be present in communication.
I see. Okay, so yeah, I understand well the situation also. So someone have the question or opinion of the idea of the Thomas-san right now? Ito-san or Ninja-san, how about that?
So now we have to continue to consider about the how we propose.
Yeah. If Thomas-san has some very simple document or one-page presentation, we can introduce Japanese people easily. So if you make it, please share it. Okay? Not urgent. Yeah.
Endo-san, are you okay if I make a Google document?
Already. Okay.
Yeah, so if I share via Google, or do you prefer
no
like email? What is the preference?
Both no problem. So yeah, yes, email is under G Drive also. I can use. Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Thank you so much. Yeah. So already 1 hour have passed. So thank you so much for gathering today. So we can exchange a good idea from Japan and German. So and we also want to discuss and exchange opinions each other next time, 1 month or 2 months later. So and if some proceeding is happened, we'd like to share the information. Thank you so much. Shen-san, can you say something in final?
Of course.
Yeah.
So everyone, it's great to have this working group come together again. We will be completing the ISO process in around a month. So it's a really good time to get organized. If you want to follow the general news about us becoming an ISO standard, please stay on the OpenChain main mailing list. But of course, we will make sure all of the important information goes to the automotive mailing list as well. As always, your input is welcome, not just on the automotive side, but also general comments about the standard and deployment. And if there's anything that I or anyone else from Linux Foundation can do to support your work, please just reach out to me at any time. Thank you very much, and special thanks to Endo-san for hosting this meeting.
Thank you so much, Shen-san, Thomas-san, Ito-san. Thank you. This is the finish of the meeting. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.